sweat when we dance. I fall to my knees, baby. Wanna get you alone, now not ready to ignite. I want us to go home, now no turn up every light, baby. Burn me to ashes, then I rise, then I rise. You set my body, all on my body. You set my body, all on my body on fire. You set my body, all on my body. You set my body, all on my body on fire. You set my body, all on my body. You set my body, all on my body. Oh yeah. You set my body, all on my body. You set my body, all on my body on fire. You set my body, all on my body. You set my body, all on my body on fire. Shut down in my brain. Don't know what to say. Too much chemistry, baby. Wanna get you alone, now not ready to ignite. I want us to go home, now no turn up every light, baby. Burn me to ashes, then I rise, then I rise. You set my body, all on my body. You set my body, all on my body on fire. You set my body, all on my body. You set my body, all on my body on fire. Fire, 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 fire.
So, we've got 2 rounds down. We've got 8 rounds left on the horizon. Early form has now set itself out. It's Shazoo who find themselves in control, but they realize that Shazoo see as igniters, that there are a hungry amount of teams behind who want to jump and take their crown. Bigger than that, though, they don't have their talisman silo today to go and score what has been back-to-back victory. So it is wide open for these teams to try and nibble at the heels, take a point or two, and say that they are going to be jumping on for championship honours at the end of the season. Welcome to Velocity Esports Racing, and this, your Velocity Ultimate Masters here for season number 5. My name's Jake Sperry. It's James Otter along with me for today's racing action. And James, on a track today where overtaking is going to be absolutely critical at the Red Bull Ring, this is a day where you probably are looking for a driver who knows how best to get the elbows out.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Should be in for an absolute cracker of a race ahead of us here. The Austrian Grand Prix, what was the A1 ring, as you said. Now, the Red Bull ring should bring some really intense racing. Usually does in the normal Formula One sphere, but with equal cars and equally very talented drivers out in the field here tonight, overtaking in abundance, we should be in for what could be potentially a real mixed bag.
It very much could be. Now, let's talk about our season and why this round 3 becomes very important. There's a lot of overtaking offered here in today's racing action, but they do know that they've got more overtaking next week at the circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, and then they've got the very difficult Imola circuit to try and get right, a pure racers track before the break week, and then that run through to the end of the season with Shanghai, Suzuka, Montreal, of course, Circuit of the Americas, and Qatar to end it out. But right now, you would probably want to bank some points. This is going to be one of those, I'm going to avoid getting into trouble rounds.
Yeah, should be one where we're not going to be seeing anything in terms of attrition here tonight. We've got the full expectation that there's every ample opportunity to earn as many points as they can around Spielberg here tonight as well, especially considering the results of the previous race as well. Because nonetheless, the Shizou Cedar Igniters have shown that they've got that pace, haven't they? They're able to find that rhythm. But at the moment, it's not about, driver one, driver two sort of running away with it. As it stands, Silo shown that pace, but with him not here tonight, is that going to open up an opportunity for ETA? Is that going to open up an opportunity potentially for AMR?
Well, AMR and the Future Racing Team, the only two teams who could put two cars inside the top 10 last time out at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. When you look around, we saw that Angry Sharks had a brilliant run with Nico, where qualifying was so critical to get correct there at the high downforce, heavy rake style of circuit. Very different today, where you can make moves and strategy can get you into position. But every team was looking for a little something. The only team maybe that stood out from the leaders who didn't get the day that they wanted was maybe RSC.
Yeah, RSC falling down to fourth in the standings in the end as a result of that one. But then critically, if we go down to the bottom 10 of the race, of course, the bottom line is because of that performance, alongside critically Ventauri not having a great race either, they've collapsed down the standings to fourth and seventh respectively. So it is now going to be really about what is potentially on the horizon, maybe, for the likes of SCI, ETA, and AMR, and can RSC and Ventauri bounce back after a poor performance? And critically, Jake, is anyone not going to DNF on their own accord? Because every position other than last place scores a point. So why AMS decided to bail on that one, I'm not sure.
Nor am I. This, of course, your Velocity Esport, your Velocity Ultimate Masters is brought to you in collaboration with Hyundai, Intercomp, Monster Energy, Brand Garage, Level Academy, and The Specialist. So as we move into the standings, you've still got your top 7 teams all split by 25 championship points up there. So still very much up for grabs as far as the championship goes. And there is a wonderful prize pool up at the top of this season. Of course, it pays to 9th place out there in terms of prize money. So there's absolutely every reason to jump in and get those results up. So it's 8 for Shizou over ET8, 10 over AMR, and then 16 over RSC. But 5th, 6th, 7th, Angry Sharks, Future Racing Team, and Ventauri, just the 3 points between them.
Yeah, no expectations that it was always going to be, very close between the pair of them between the three of them rather on this one. But RSC would argue at one point they were punching above their weight, but they're serious contenders to earn some big prizes here, as well as Angry Sharks Racing Team, who have found a real mojo in this part of the esports sphere, if you will. And then down towards the back, of course, Team TF10, the recently closed team, of course, replaced by Alien Motorsport, still outscoring Alien Motorsport after they both elected to retire their drivers from the last race in Spain.
Yep, so that will put them in a little bit of a sticky situation if they want to get anything out of it compared to Tatum Restec. Now, in terms of driver lineups, there's a lot to talk about with who's choosing what I would say strongest team available for ET8 tonight, with Matteo and Sergioli both being available for them. A changeover at AMR that brings Dom in for the first time this season. Double change at SCI, so Finley and Jeroen jump in. But the important thing to note is the Future Racing Team are actually in a little bit of a sticky situation with their roster going to Justin and Kevin Zuneberg for the 3rd straight week in a row, because when they submitted their roster, James, they had 6 available drivers, as all teams do. Just as they submitted it, they lost half of them to other teams.
Yes, FRT have found themselves in a bit of a sticky pot here. We would have expected a team like them, who have done relatively well in this first part of this game cycle, to be retaining their drivers, but the churn rate at FRT has been extraordinary, and that has just been sort of beyond unprecedented. So Justin and Kevin Zunberg for the 3rd time in a row, fielding a team that has been a little bit up and down. First race was particularly poor. Second race, not too bad. Nice bounce back from them. So what can they do at the Österreichring? But for me, ETA, Matteo and Sergio, as you rightfully say, definitely the better of the lineups that ETA could field tonight, but it is an aging squad now, and they may not have the time to be able to practice for race events like this.
No, it is very true. And we do have first-time drivers in this one. So we've got like some Max van der Geest making his first start for Ventari this season as well. Ollie Hornby as well making a first start over at Alien Motorsports with B. Danny alongside. A late submission change. They went to the reserve driver away from Gergo, who was meant to be there and running. RWO6 will have track race there, all elite racing team. A first start as well for Tatum Restek Karim to keep in mind. And critically, the driver who was second 1 week ago, Nico Sauce, is now going to be looking at this going, you know what? I would quite like to try and go one step better.
Critically at this one as well. I'm also keeping a very firm eye on Ollie Hornby as well. He's a driver, who's a little bit up and down, well known within the esports sphere. Some people give him some fairly strong criticism, but actually started to find a little bit of a rhythm now in this community, and especially in this game cycle. So he could be a little bit of a dark horse for a decent performance here tonight in Austria.
Well, let's take a look then at our information of this Red Bull Ring here from Spielberg in Austria with Ventari, because this is a lightning fast lap. We're expecting sub 65 seconds pretty much from everybody as we get a lot of elevation change at the base of the Styrian Mountains, out to the Niki Lauda curve and down the hill over to turn number 3, through that small flick left of the Munzer curve at turn 2, then out at turn 3. You're trying to work down the hill over to Rauk corner at turn number 4. That proves every single time to be the brilliant overtaking place down the hill, tough on braking, one line shoots all through the corner.
Yeah, and then, of course, going through into turn 5, we see loads of side-by-side action in equal cars in F125 around here. So this could pose as a little bit of a threat to some, actually, as it goes through into 6th and then heads into 7. He'll want to try and make sure he gets close to the curb without going over, because it's very easy to bottom out. Setups are going to be fairly critical at that particular corner, because you can maximise lap time or lose it completely as he heads through the final couple of corners. Try not to go too far over as you go through turn 10 and maximise your exit without going over that white line, and you'll come across the line and set something below 65 seconds.
Yeah, it's what we all tend to see, and it's one that definitely proves each and every single time that amazing racing is going to be on the horizon for everyone here as we get ourselves ready for qualifying to stack up in just a few moments, because when we get back from this commercial break, we'll be at Q1 and 5 drivers will be knocked out of qualifying. Well, it's not too much of a surprise in an area that is so mountainous, and the clouds all gather up at various elements of the circuit to see that this is a dour racetrack to start with Q1. This might be a case of looking at the conditions, hoping that they are going to dry out a little bit more than this, but the majority of drivers out there on a set of wet compound tyres, with only a handful thinking we're going to chance it out there to begin with on a set of intermediates.
Already losing the rear there slightly as well. Kevin Zoomberg's the FRT Haas car heading his way through this now very precariously as well. Plenty of people out on the intermediates, 3 of them for the exact, but we have got people immediately leaving on a set of wets. Ollie Hornby for AMS rather, as well as AMR's Zito leaving on a set of wet tyres. But as I said, I mean, as you say then, a mountainous terrain of this particular circuit, well, what can you say? It punctures the clouds very quickly and you get all of this rain.
You do, and so now this is the first attempt out there, and because the lap is so short, actually saving tyres is going to be a huge premium here compared to other circuits, because you can get 2, 3, 4 laps really fighting with understeer. Through the opening corner goes Kevin Zoonenberg as he works down through the Munster chicane here, which is used when MotoGP comes here after the incident that we saw with Maverick Vinales and Valentino Rossi about 5 or 6 years ago now. Goodness my, does time fly. But then through turn 3, up the hill. And one thing to note about this circuit, all of the straights, with the exception of the front straight, are never truly straight.
Yeah, look at that. Remember that particular incident, actually. Valentino Rossi's face could only be described as, well, better, if for the lack of a better word, shell-shocked, to be honest with you. Kevin Zoomberg, though, shell-shocked himself as he's just trying to get his way around the circuit here. The car at the front end is just not sticking, of course, but then he tries to get the power down, and then the rear's not stepping, so he's slow into the corners, and he's slow out of the corners. So we'll be interested to see what his lap times are going to be like versus the likes of Ollie Hornby and Zito, because I do think we're in that little sort of window here where the intermediates or the wets could be the better tyre. So the intermediates are probably going to be the better tyre relatively soon, but it might not just be yet, as he's just losing the rear ever so slightly. Steps out, comes across the line, first lap time 1:16.358.
There's nothing worse than having a car that feels like sometimes it understeers and sometimes it oversteers. It is the most horrible feeling, and the fight from FRT Justin to try and get that one over the line, that's even worse. A 1:20.6 and more of a sighter lap than anything else for Justin there as he tries to warm the tyres into an operating window. That's wide there from the likes of Ollie Hornby, who is trying to make that progress over towards the line. Goes second there on the intermediates, a 1:19.5, but definitely not close enough in terms of time, because these drivers would have put the majority of their practice out there for dry conditions. The more that you do wet weather practice, you're sort of looking around. Everyone says, oh, the most fun to drive is out there in the dry. Zito proving wet tyres are the best at the moment, a full second quicker than Kevin Zoonenberg.
Yes, you don't really want to be burning through your intermediates if you can't help it at the moment, because the intermediate tyres will be the better tyre eventually, but if you keep burning them or keep doing that, for instance, you're just wasting time there. And that's JTO 40, and the veteran driver himself, actually making an uncharacteristic mistake. Curiously, I'm seeing a lot of people on the wet tyres, but actually, well, wet tyres on the graphic, but coming across the line, here's Nico, was on a wet, is actually on an intermediate. So the drivers predominantly out there still think the intermediate tyre is the better tyre to be on, but AMR's Zito says otherwise.
Yeah, Enzo Sabaton, a 1:16.1. There is a set of legitimate full wets, is the best way to say it, from Epic Valet at the moment. And so, at least right now, how epic can this lap be? Really pushing hard then through Jochen Rindt, understeer for a mile and an eternity and a half. And now you're starting to see there the counter steer through the final corner down the hill, trying to get the lap in, a 15.736. That's good enough for second. Well, it was, because suddenly it's 1 and 2 right now for AMR. They'll be really chuffed with what they've got at the moment as Dom goes second, and they think they've just proven here, at least in the early first 6 minutes here of Q1, this is a wet tyre race that they'll be setting themselves up for. But the more they go out there, the more cars that put themselves on the circuit, the more that they'll chuck back up into the air, and the more likely that you'll need to go to a set of intermediates.
Yeah, Epic Vale is showing that the wet tyre was clearly the better tyre to be for between the two of the Mercedes team drivers here. Here comes Sergio, ET8, looking to try and get anywhere near AMR with an intermediate. Goes fastest of the intermediates with a 15.7. Now starting to knock on the door of the wet tyre laps here. And Matteo, again, a very consistent runner, one of the more intense drivers, also with a 15.7 as well. Both experienced drivers and showing them the muscle to get close to the wet tyre compound. We're certainly at the crossover as Kevin Zumberg now goes fastest on, guess what, an intermediate, 14.8.
Well, not only that, that's an intermediate that's needed 3 laps to warm up. So clear that the wear's not the problem here. It's getting the tyre into an operating window where it is going to be alerting everyone to how quick you need to go. So that was a very important lap there for the Future Racing team, and knowing how critical it is to go and get that wear into the tyre, that heat, those cycles that go through, because you know that every time you're going around, you'd normally set this car up for trim, for low downforce settings that's going to get you around this circuit as fast as possible in the top speed. When it's wet, you need downforce, so you're going to run slightly higher wings than you would do otherwise, and that's going to be a critical factor as Max van der Geest puts the Venturi Racing Bull up then into second position, JTO 40 then into third, and suddenly I think this is a wake-up message for anyone who has started out on a wet tyre, because Track Racer now moves up to second.
Yeah, All Elite Racing team very happy at the moment with that 14.8, but the track evolution becoming quite a prominent feature. Vanna Spinoda going fastest, 14.5. The intermediate tyre, definitely the better tyre. Enzo Sabaton, 14.2. It might be that this Q1 session is going to be about who's going to be the last person across the line to go fastest as it stands so far, because the track evolution is getting quite rapid, but the rainfall out on circuit is still pretty prominent. Dry line starting to form.
Yep, so a dry line will help, but because it's still raining, I don't think we'll see any transfer onto slicks anytime soon. I just think the intermediates will get better and better as they hit what they would call an optimum condition out there that they're running. Enzo Sabaton currently quickest. Here's the big thing, though. It's 1-2 right now for RSC, and Epic Vale has done that on a wet tyre, which is impressive out there to still have the pace to go out there and improve. We watch with SCI Finley, though, who puts a 14 flat down and says, beat that. We may not have Silo, but we might not need him today. With that sort of lap time, Finley then fastest in Q1 and saying, look, that gives me safety, but a huge spread at the moment through first to the bubble at 15th. That's 2.5 seconds difference, where currently Fedemori is on it. Sergio Olli quickest now with a big 13.1.
Yeah, keeping an eye out as well on your own as well, the other SCI man, because they're going to be wanting to try and get at least both of their drivers up there in this early phase of Q1 as well. Matteo goes back up to P2, so they're ET8 now fastest and second place respectively. Justin just getting going with his lap. Jeroen, on the other hand, has just gone fastest in the second sector, so he's looking like he's able to find that little bit of pace. Remember, the next couple of corners are going to be fairly critical. If you get up on that curb and you bottom out, you are going in the wall in these conditions. Big bucket of understeer through 9, then into 10. This Alpine did not look comfortable through there, but is it going to be fastest? He was great in the second sector, but he's lost all that time in the third. He's second.
He is. Ollie Hornby with a disconnect's not going to help, so he's going to need to get back in the car and get back in the server quick, because as far as qualifying time go, 11th on a 1:15 flat, not going to cut it at the moment with the way that certain teams and drives are looking. RWO6, though, there in the Kick Sauber for All Elite Racing team, will absolutely eat that up. First driver into the 112. Putting that time together on the board, and track state never as more important as this, as now All Elite are 1-2, and they've been nowhere in the championship, but they get undertaken by Fana Spinoda, who puts a 12-2 down.
AMS are going to be desperate now at this point to get Ollie Hornby in, because they're throwing all the eggs into his basket at the moment. AMS is probably the quickest, one of their quicker drivers at the moment, especially in the non-assists kind of thing at the moment, because they're more known for their assists sort of side of running here. But here's Danny on his own down in P19. 1:17.1 is well off the pace in comparison. He'll be hoping to go fastest. He has gone fastest in the second sector, but immediately beaten by an Alpine, I think, that is just behind him. Here he comes then going through into turn 9 and then into turn number 10. He might just be climbing up the rankings here, but that, of course, is not going to be of any help to to his teammate Ollie Hornby, who needs to get back in this session, and he's just invalidated at turn number 9, and that may be the critical issue. If you're an on-assist runner, you miss your braking zone, that would have been a 12.2. It would have been fastest, as Finley immediately comes across the line, 11.8.
Yeah, making statements again as Shazoo Cedars. They want to take the title that they did in Season 2 when they were just the Cedars Phoenix Igniters at that point. So they are really knocking on the door, saying what they can. Justin down at the bottom. You've got B. Danny down there. Fedemori for the Angry Sharks. AMR Dom in trouble, and JTO 40 on the wrong side. A 15-3 currently the bubble, but if they're doing 11 and 12s at the moment, I think we're going to see it. Kevin Zunerberg goes quickest then, and what can his teammate do? Are they going to be 1-2 in just a moment? Absolutely they are, an 11-4. This track is evolving quick.
Yeah, it's evolving very quickly indeed. Now the rain has started to seriously depreciate. It's just little drips and drabs now here on the circuit. And actually, if anything, the dry line is actually extending quite far out on the track here. I'm not saying we're going to be anywhere near dry tyres just yet, but the amount of spray that these intermediates are now kicking up is very minimal indeed. And that would immediately tell me we could be on for dry tyres in Q2 at some point anyway in Q2, as Karim comes across the line right now. 12.7 becomes and stays a 12.7. He actually lost time, a 10th and a half.
Yeah, so that one didn't quite pay off. A 5th lap there on the tyres. Fedemori, fastest on an 11.4. That one will knock his own teammate down into the drop zone, which is Nico Sos, who was second last time we were running with you. Goes up to 3rd as Max van der Geest now gets the clearance. Suddenly, Epic Vale in the drop. We were talking about them 5 minutes ago being at the top. This is ever evolving. 11-2 from Track Racer. This very much will be a case of last car out there. And I wonder, does anybody feel like they want to gamble on a slick the way that this is starting to drop down in time?
All Elite Racing team are knocking on the door consistently here. Now, I'm not saying their dry running pace will be up there, but certainly in the interchangeable conditions, if this continues going into the race, they could be ones to watch actually going into the main part of this race. Karim will be looking to try and improve. Remember, he'd set a 12.9 on the last lap. This one not looking particularly strong. Tatum Race Tech's really struggling in the F1 sphere as well, so they want to try and get something going. Epic Vale comes across the line to go with a 10.3, and then here comes Karim, who goes second by 0.7 of a second. The difference, though, was a great lap from Vale.
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. An 11 flat, though, from Karim is okay. It now knocks Armateo into the drop zone. It puts Jeroen in the drop now. Sergi Oli is on the bubble on a 13.1 as B. Danny's 10.7 really helps with the likes of Alien Motorsport get what they need. Dom, who has been out there only on a wet tyre so far, now on a flyer on an intermediate here. So this is his first running to try and get himself up there, realising that this track is just going to evolve. He's trying to save Kevin Zunerberg's 10.1. This track absolutely ratcheting down the times that continue to be found. Here comes the launch then from Dom over the line, fastest on a 10.1. That's exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, keeping an eye on Ollie Hornby as well, because he's just managed to get back in the lobby and he's going as well. There's definitely laps all the way around the field at the moment. This is a critical lap, this one actually, from Hornby. And look at that, very well crafted at 4, but he's just getting up on the curb and not finding any pressure. ERT rather, All Elite Racing Team looking very strong indeed with RW06 now beating Dom's lap time, and now into the 109s they will go. This is a critical lap here because Danny up into P6 is a great effort from AMS, but their eggs are all going to be in Ollie Hornby's basket. DRS is enabled. How long have we got? Is there enough time for people to get onto a dry tyre? Potentially, you know. Is Hornby going to go out? No, he's going to stay out. I thought he was going to dive in the end, but he is going to set a lap of some kind. 3 minutes to go as he comes across the line right now. He goes to P6, but if the dry tyres are on with 3 minutes to go, that's a push.
Well, he's really going to have to motor to get around. I don't think he will, and that might actually put him wrong place, wrong time here, because dries will be the option. Everyone will be jumping in. Ollie, I think, was just looking to have a banker down on the board, and so if everyone's going to be going out on slicks, this is panic stations. This is watch out with what you do. JTO 40 now trying to get that time over the line. That's a 109.5. That will be aided by the inclusion of DRS, which would have been opened up for the various zones. So if you're out there right now and you're on intermediate tyres, the bed's made.
Critical, isn't it? Critical. I'm very, very surprised that Ollie didn't use his initiative actually and dive straight into the pit lane at that point, because that would have been a great opportunity to dive in, because he saw that the DRS had been enabled. He wasn't even at the entry point for the pits, so there's plenty of people, RWO6 being one of them as well, that are just banking all on the hope that the dry tyres are not the choice tyre to be on, but the track is looking particularly dry, and you can use dry tyres even if there's little spits and spats of rain on the circuit, so we'll have to see. Either way, be interesting if the race director could switch it from best lap to what current tyres are people are on, because it'd be interesting to see, details set to that to current, because it'd be nice if people are going to switch over. And Dom is testing the waters here, if you will, of switching to a dry tyre, but plenty of people still using the Inter.
Yeah, we're starting to see it now. Drivers who are in the pits going out then and thinking, is it the time? But you've got to be so brave to go out there, because one wrong move here in qualifying and everybody's going to be there with a minute and a half to go. You've got to get out of the pits, and you've got to get out of the pits pronto if you want to go and set a time. We focus with JTO40, who is currently the quickest driver out there on a 109.5, and everyone's looking around and seeing the margin 11.8 currently by SCI Finley. Both of the Shizou Cedar cars right now here are out as it currently stands in Q1.
Whoa, and off of the track there, Otsazito on an intermediate tyre, obviously pushing a little bit too aggressively on circuit here. Be interesting to see if we could go on board with Dom here, because he's the only person on a soft tyre in comparison with everyone else. I appreciate he's on an outlap, but what is his traction like going through the corners? Well, going in, it looked a little bit sheepish. Going out of it, you know what, not too bad, and just nearly getting caught out by someone on a slow lap there. Has Dom made a stroke of genius by bringing the brave one to brave a set of soft tyres, I wonder?
Well, the question will be, is the 10-1 good enough? And you'd argue it might be, but it also might not. So that's where the gamble's going to be, as everyone now looks to try and scramble to give themselves room to attack their final lap. So do not find yourself on the wrong side of it. Everyone's going to need to G and O right now. 12 seconds remaining on the clock. Some drivers, I think, are going to be caught out here at the end of qualifying. Epic Vale, quickest then on an 8 flat, so times aren't going to be safe. There's now checkered flags going to come out. Everyone's just got over the line and given themselves an opportunity here. So who's going to get what when it comes to the end of this Q1? Massive kick of oversteer then as we focus on Fana Spinoda trying to get out there, trying to make this time work. A fastest second sector as things currently stand. RWO6 on an 8.3 goes second. Nobody feels safe, and that is so important to note, that nobody has been able to save a set here at the end of Q1 because of the drying conditions. Fana Spinoda goes second on an 8.1. Ollie Hornby back to pit, so that 10.4 is probably going to be day done as far as qualifying goes. Van der Geest on an 8.5 jumps up. You watch out and say who's got what,
wow,
but
Dom.
it's a purple middle sector here from Dom, and you start seeing those times coming in. Otsazito now safe in terms of time. Jeroen's only 9. That's big for SCI, who's in trouble. Now you start looking, Finley's only 8. They're all getting times. They're all getting times. Dom comes to the line. His fastest. Jeroen's out. Kevin Zuderberg is out. Fedemori's on the bubble. Won't get there because both of the Tatum Restec cars can't get a lap in that they want because they were scrambled late, and Fedemori's blush is spared. But critically, SCI Jeroen out in Q1.
Yes, it's happened again. SCI, you've got one driver in, one driver out, and that is going to be potentially what leads you into a battle for the championship. If you want to run away with it, you can't do that. Dom fastest, though, for AMR is absolutely fabulous for them. They've beaten their co-compatriots over in Spain in ET8 as well. I'm going to be keeping a very firm eye, though, on the performance of the likes of FRT. Kevin Zuderberg in 16th, he will be angry. And what happened to Ollie Hornby? Use your brain, son!
Tough for him, wrong place, wrong time. So we lose one car out there from Alien, 2 from Tatum Restec, 1 from SCI, and 1 from Future Racing Team. Q2 after this. bone dry for this Q2. 3 minutes off the clock, and critically for these drivers, a chance to say that safety is paramount. You will take the next 5 drivers who find themselves in the bottom 5 out of contention, and with a mix-up then for Q1, Q2, surely here at this point, James, is going to say more of what we would say an ordinary run, I think, for what will be the back end of row 8 over to row 6.
Yeah, track evolution will still be partially a factor at the beginning of this session. Of course, remember, 103s are probably what we're going to be expecting if you want to be, at the absolute pinnacle of pace. We were setting 107s at the end of Q1, so still going to be a little bit of a mixed bag at the beginning of this qualifying session. But of course, as we get into the bulk of the session, we'll start to see probably things settle down into more of what we expect from the status quo.
Just getting word that Ollie Hornby was struggling with wheel issues out there over the course of Q1. That might have indicated why it's all gone wrong. So any hardware failures of any kind will certainly be hurting more than anything else. Look how much more curb you can take in the dry than you can in the wet. Trying to go through those different properties. So important, because the last thing you want to be touching, even if it's racing paint, is paint.
Overcast conditions as well, still above the heads of the drivers and the teams, so they will be hyper vigilant. That's of course any of the mountainous terrain could break a cloud and cause all of that rain to reappear once again. Enzo Sabaton just coming across then, the left-hander here, diving out of the way is the AMR driver, no issue whatsoever as he herds his way through to turn 9 and 10. You'll see here now the understeer should be no longer as prominent, able to get up on that curb. Car not being spat out too wide though, so looking relatively strong. Bit more of the conservative lap here for Enzo Sabaton, but happy for RSC to see a 1:03.071. That evolution's very quick.
It very much is, and we were thinking, 3.5 was what we put on our information graphic from what we've seen, to go 63 seconds out there. That is very, very quick to start off proceedings. We watch with Nico Sauce going to a 6.9. Then as a little bit of a sighter on a set of intermediates out there to get a banker lap in. So still desperately looking to save tyres going into the end of qualifying. I find that very interesting.
Yeah, choice tyre being the intermediate suggests to me that the race on the heads potentially of Nico is potentially consider a 2-stop with a couple of soft tyres if they want to try and maximise the amount of soft tyres that they've actually got available. Here's Fedmori, by the way. He is currently on a lap, but as it stands so far, he was using ERS none at one point, so he is actually managing his electrical energy throughout this lap, and in fact he's really used a lot of it here. He used his overtake all the way to the end of the line though on the soft tyre, comes across the line 1:03.3, still a little bit down on Enzo Sabaton, but much faster than Nico on the Inter.
Yep, so there's the difference for you, about 3.6 seconds then between a soft tyre and intermediate. Lap time invalidated for Dom, so this will be another go around to go have an attempt at a flying lap. So Dom knows what he needs out of this. He needs some strength, he needs poise, he needs elegance over the course of this lap to put him exactly where he wants to be, knowing that there are some lightning quick drivers in and around and will be looking to prove that they've got what it takes. And this is sometimes what you see with a Q1, Q2, Q3 format. You switch off for a lap out there and you don't get the timing that you need. Suddenly you're having to scramble. So not just this session, but the session after that and the session after that. That's why you need to be so consistent across 3 different sessions, and why being the best in the Q1, Q2, Q3 format sometimes can be more rewarding than saying being better than a hot lap specialist.
Yeah, 20th to 1st in Q1 as well for this man there, Dom, as well, when he tried to at least get from a wet to an intermediate lap. So we'll see as he comes across the line right now to go second fastest, another one with the 1:03.3s. That's 3 people now in that, which just shows Enzo Sabaton's lap time actually particularly good. Here's the team I'm keeping an eye on, All Elite Racing Team, doing a relatively decent job in Q1. Both of their drivers through, constantly knocking on the door towards the front, but now with the dry tyres coming into play here, will it become more of a status quo for the team currently 8th place in the standings?
And they are 8th place at the moment, a full 19 points behind Ventari, for example, who have also got both their cars into Q2. So they are really going to need to score some big points here to start clawing into that gap. And you start thinking about what makes this series so good. It's that the battles normally are close. It's not often that you get to say the front 7 all have a shot of taking the championship lead coming out of today, but the rear 3 teams out here in this championship are really on the back foot, have all of the work to do to get anything more than 8th place in this championship. And they're going to need maybe not just one great race, they're going to need 2 or 3 over the course of this season to reel themselves back into control as it stands. Fedemori currently in 4th place at the moment on a 3-3. AMR Dom also does a 103.3, which puts the mark quite nicely. Be Danny the focus now, heading down to Rauch Corner at turn 4.
Yeah, good turn 1 actually from Danny as well. Really, really impressive to take as much as that curb on the inside line and still manage to come out on the other side without bottoming out the car. Loses the rear ever so slightly though at 4. Here it comes through 5. We can see a lot of people when they chuck the car through here, the rear does tend to step out, but there it is. You can see there the car just not wanting to stay stationary, and there it goes, and there goes the car. And yeah, it's just critical in it when you overdrive the tyres. He had a really good turn 1, probably put too much heat in it, lost the mechanical grip, and now he'll have to have another go.
Well, you are fighting with low wing settings, so if you've got low wing on the car, the worst places on this circuit will be turn 6 and 7. Graz Corner, which was where they were going through, was just proving how tough it is. Epic Vale, purple first sector, we'll put that in a back pocket and a half, as FRT Justin, 100th faster than Enzo Sabaton, the RSC teammate then of Epic Vale, and they have really come out fighting after what was a little bit of a damp squib for them at round 2 of the championship in Barcelona. This is much more what we're expecting to see from RSC, and they are wanting to scrap it out for this championship. And the way that they are running and the way that they are pushing, this is more of what we need to see in order to put them up at the top. Nico Sos going 3rd, SCI Finley then in 4th. Are they going to be bumped down? Yes, because Epic Vale 103 flat says I'm top.
Yeah, looking very good as Otsazito goes fastest as well, 103.008. So we're starting to get to the 102s now here as the lap times will continue to fall. Vanna Spinoda 103.0 of his own as well. That's 5 drivers now with a 103 flat at the moment. So it's all going to be about the 100th of a second as it stands. Max von der Gies on the lap here is Sergio, though. Sergio Mateo have left it a little bit later to head out here of the ET8 pairing, probably because they were expecting the track evolution to become a factor, especially considering the overcast conditions are now burning out. The sun started to come through, break through the clouds, blue sky in abundance now. We should start to see this track warming up, but the lap times are going to get even faster.
They are 6 minutes to go here in qualifying, and so now he's starting to hit the crunch time period as we are on board with Sergio Orli, knowing his teammate Armateo then at ET8, the 2-time reigning champions here in this Velocity Ultimate Masters, are looking to prove their worth. Really fighting hard through the corner, almost as if it was on rails through that section, and now looking to try and get the final bits of power over the line, but only 6th on a 103.1, so that tells you a fair bit about where pace is going to be. Now, you only need to be in the top 10, but here's the issue. 0.2 of a second right now is the difference between 6th and being out, so you're going to have to be looking around saying 0.3 of a second. I think drivers can hit that.
All Elite Racing team will be wishing they doing that. They'll be more, rain on the horizon. They'll be doing all their rain dances at the moment because their pace completely falling off a cliff now. But of course, track evolution is still a factor. Mateo, on the other hand, is just trying another go at this one here. Looks like it might have been a cool push as he goes through into turn 4 and very elegantly turning in the car. Very JB-esque, actually, how he drives his cars as well. Very smooth as he turns it through into this left-hander here. Ria can step out if he gets on that curb. He's well held it, though, as the veteran driver going through 5 into 6 and 7. 12.1 seconds, obviously, he decided to abandon in the second sector. Looking a little bit more positive now for the veteran.
Yeah, now looking for that final sector to wake up there in what is the white special livery Red Bull out there heading over towards the line, and that's good for 4th. The 103.039 top 4 are currently split by about 0.03 of a second right now. He actually tied Fana Spinoda's time, so it went to the tens of thousandths of a second to split them out. But if you're seeing that and you know that you've got a Q3 session coming up, if the times are that close, again, even though it's sunny, roll the dice, anyone can take pole.
Yeah, the best thing about it as well is that out of those 6 drivers all in the 103.0s, they come from 5 different teams. The only one that manages to get both of their drivers in the 103.0 is actually RSC once again. So really bouncing back quite well, aren't they, at the moment, after what was a bit of a fair to middling, if not a mediocre race, to be fair, at Spain. So good opportunity on the horizon for the team represented by Mercedes.
Dom is the driver on the outside looking in. The lap's invalidated here, so I'd assume this will be now an in-lap for him before getting ready for that final stint to go out and prove he can get into Q2. Currently out right now is one from AMR. Both of the drivers are all elite. Are currently out in the kick Saubers. Fedemori for the Angry Sharks, and then B. Danny, who is the second Alien Motorsports. And B. Danny hasn't gone out and set a single lap time yet, so trying to hide the pace, see where it's going to be. But at the moment, you're probably saying you need at least a 3-1 to make it.
So that's on a postcard, folks. This is a difficult one this year because it's such a close proximity between being in and out as it stands. As I said, the top 6 separated by just, I think it's 29 thousandths of a second. Means that there's only 4 spaces below that. So every 100th of a second could be the difference between you being out and potentially being in P3, P4. As a comes the line, Enzo Sabaton, RSC, suddenly now under a little bit of pressure because that's such a close difference between 10th and 11th place as it stands so far, rather 10th and 6th place as it stands. Enzo Sabaton suddenly might be under a lot of pressure now.
Well, you got to get it back first and foremost, and if there's any damage to that front wing, that's not coming back out again. So I'm looking around at Enzo doing a full Lando Norris there down at turn 1. What hurts there, mate? Well, talent does. That's the only thing that's gone wrong there. So you start thinking now, okay, well, Epic Vale has decided I'm good. I don't need to go out. Oh, and FRT Justin grabs the gravel. Coming out then of Rauk corner, has to abandon the lap. And suddenly you need this half a lap to cool it off and go again. This is scary times. Dom goes 7th, then on a 103.1. That will give a little bit of help. It does put Max van der Geest then out of control in 11th position for Venturi.
Yes, I think that's a little bit of an overtake there happening on that particular one. I think what's happening is people are characteristically finding there's a lot of pressure to find every 100th they can, so they're trying to test the limits of the track now as a result of that one, to try and find that extra 100th. Fed Mori had a great turn 1, by the way, the ASRT drivers. Angry Sharks looking to try and get themselves into the 102s if they can with Fed Mori, but the first sector particularly strong. What's his turn 4 going to be like? I tell you what, he missed the curb a little bit, might have left a few hundredths on the table.
Otto Zito says, well, a 103.0 is good enough for me to make top 10. I don't need to go out again. So
another one.
Up to 3rd on a 103.2. So you're starting to get the sense now of what you need. It's currently SCI Finley on the bubble here on a 103.247. We focus with Fedemori, who needs this lap time, and he needs it desperately, really working for that final sector, and now making the push towards the line. What's it going to be? It's fastest.
Another one.
103.006. Perfect.
Another one. Oh my goodness me. So now we've got 8 drivers in the 103.0s. People who are already in the 103.0s will be hoping for a 102, but Justin is just invalidated. If he gets knocked out with a 103.0 of his own, he's going to be fuming. AMS with Danny comes across the line. 103.2. Invalid. He's not going to be happy about that one. Enter Sabaton, another 103.0. I think we have got people spinning around at the moment as well. Are we got any further improvements at all? Max van der Geest, please. Ooh. He's looking to try and get somewhere near the 103.2s. It looks like it's going to be a 102 here if he comes across the line right now. It's another one in the 103.0s. What is going on out there at the moment?
It's mega, and Dom is on the bubble and couldn't get another lap in. So it's just up to Nico Sos, Finley, Track Racer, RW06, or Danny to go up there. There's the break into the 102s from Armateo, saying, look, I am going to be that guy who says I'm better than everyone else. Still, though, you look, Fana Spinoda only 6th, RW06 to 11th on a 103.1, not enough. SCI Finley, both of them are going to miss Q3 at SCI. That's huge. Over the line, it's enough. Nico Sosko 7th and will knock out AMR Dom. Track Racers in the pits, so it's only B Danny who can go out there and get into the top 10 at the risk of Max van der Geest. Through and into the pits he goes, but oh my goodness me, that's a huge shock out there. AMR Dom out, but SCI Finley is only 13.
Oh, I'm lost for words. The 700ths of a second separating second from 10th, Jake. 700ths. That's the difference. It's less than a blink of an eye between you being safely through and looking behind you at this point. It's absolutely astonishing. And Finley, in any other division, a 103.2 would have probably got you through to Q3. But when you've got so many drivers in such close proximity, if you make even the tiniest of error, it is not good enough. That is this league in a nutshell. Ultimate Masters, fantastic.
It's brilliant. And what a Q2 this is set up. What a Q3 it sets up now. And you know that every driver can be on 3 flat pace at least as they look to set themselves out. So the stall then of you needed a 3 flat to get yourself safe. Both Red Bulls through, both McLarens through, and both, critically for Venturi, both Venturis are through. And, you know, you look at these teams, it's the best of the best who get there. So B Danny out then for Alien, both of the All Elite Racing Team cars out. And then the big 2 shocks, AMR Dom and SCI Finley can't make it. Q3 after this. Q3, and now everything is set. What a quality session we just had in Q2, but now who will put themselves on the top step and say, I'm on pole for racing action in the Velocity Ultimate Masters. We don't call it the Ultimate Masters because this is going to be one where one team runs away with it. It's called the Ultimate Masters because you have to be at 100% every given session.
I've got no words for that. As I said, 700ths of a second separating a front row or second place down to 10th place immediately suggests there's absolutely no firm favourite whatsoever for pole position here tonight as well. So let's have a look from a team's perspective. Both of the RSCs, they're through. Enzo and PGR, Epic Fail, they've managed to both get their drivers through in the Mercedes. ET8 have got Sergio and Matteo through. Angry Sharks Racing Team have got both of theirs through, as well as both of the Ventauris. But AMR have lost a driver. Otsosito's on his own. And well done to Justin for Future Racing Team as well. After Kevin Zuberg knocked out in P16, he's also through into the top 10 shootout.
And Justin's the one that you normally talk about being the weaker of the qualifiers. So that is a huge turn up for the books for Justin. The pace now starting to really find itself. Suddenly, it's glorious sunshine here in Q3. And Enzo Sabaton, we are on board with trying to get that first time in. Bit of cross scrub then, trying to work through the late turn in style as we expect then from this cycle of the game, as we're in a 2-year cycle, which is new territory here in this compared to that. I think the last time we had a 2-year cycle on a game was F1 2007. by my count, sorry, 2006, where there was a 3-year cycle before F109 came out for the Nintendo Wii, believe it or not, as the next game that followed in the cycle. Through the final corner then, and looking to push to set the first banker marker of this Q3 session. Well, that's a big one, isn't it? 102.8.
Yeah, lap times will be coming in thick and fast to improve. We've got another one in the 102.8. Here we go again. Max von der Geest coming across the line to go there. Otto Zito comes across the line right now to start his lap. 104.1 is what it would have been if it wasn't an invalid lap on that occasion. We've got other people on a lap at the moment, though. Epic Vale also on an invalid lap as well. The next person to be setting a lap out of all of them will be Epic Vale, but we've also got one on an out lap as well, and Nico for ASRT. One opportunity for the Angry Sharks. Remember, 8th place overall. They're going to be looking to try and bounce back.
Yeah, they are knowing that there is a lot, all elite, of course, for the team that are in 8th. Angry Sharks currently 5th, so they are very happy with where they are at the moment. 22 points off of the championship leaders, Shazoo Seeders Igniters. But you put it into context with Shazoo, both out of the top 10, you suddenly turn your eyes to the 2-time champions ET8, and you realise, well, I'm not 22 points behind going into this Q3 session anymore. You feel like you are only, looking at it, 14 points back, way more manageable.
I'm still just trying to get over Q2, if I'm honest with you, at the moment, Jake. It's just absolutely bananas. But yeah, you rightfully point out Angry Sharks Racing Team currently on 5th. I wish teams would start coming up with different abbreviations. ASRT, AERT, both in this particular league. But Angry Sharks, they're in a real good bit of form at the moment within this esports sphere. So it doesn't surprise me they're through into Q3 in this particular race, and this particular circuit, rather. But I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Nico and Fedmori can bring here, because they could really spice up the action in that midfield.
They absolutely can, as we look at that. A purple first sector then from Nico Sos, who was second when it came to qualifying 1 week ago, and second in the race. Will certainly want to find that form again. And is this going to be big time from Nico as he works himself then through to turn 6 here? This long left-hander, really got to have to fight for it. Perfect on the curve into the Graz corner, named after the city of Graz, which is the closest city here to us in Austria. Now, here as we work into Jochenrin, named after the F1 World Champion. And now into the final corner. What will this be to say where Angry Sharks have pace to burn? It is a 102.9. They're all within half a 10.
Oh, wow. Here we go again then. 6.5 minutes to go in this one. Justin looking to try and get somewhere near. He comes across another one in the 1 minute 12.9. Can you believe it, folks? Fedamore looking to try and get in there as well. Sector 2 not looking particularly strong, but he could be saving it all for the final couple of corners is the ASRT McLaren Mercedes. Chucks the car through 9. Doesn't want to get up on that curve. He wants to go as wide as he can, though, going through here. He'll go over that white line. He took a bit more of a conservative approach as he comes across the line right now. And it's another one in the 102.9s.
Well, they're all in the range. It's just a case of who's going to get what.
There it is.
Oh, there's a 2.7. Sergio Olli is going to say it's ET8 you're going to have to try and outlast, and he's 800ths clear in qualifying, and that might as well feel like 8 seconds rather than 800ths at the moment, the way that this is all starting to set it up. Armateo with a slow 121, so a cool lap to get things sorted, and we're down to just 5 3/4 minutes left in this qualifying session. So you feel like if you're out right now, you can go out and put another time in to get close. It's again about who wants to save what and who wants to do what as they go through. Armateo really trying to throw this in the middle sector. Gets very wide over that curb, and you're fighting then against the G-forces every time through this middle sector. It is one of the more demanding circuits in that regard.
Yes, certainly much more demanding on the tyres at full chat here. So Matteo is on what would is more characteristic of him to have a cool push here. So this is now his push lap, so he will be 1 lap older on these soft tyres and out of sync with everyone else, but he'll come across the line right now and 102.8. So we've got another one within the brink, and that tells you, my friends, that we've got, what's that, less than a 10th and a half separating pole from 8th. Amazing.
It is absolutely fantastic, as again, Epic Vale will have an invalidated lap time. And that's going to cause a little bit of trouble because you're going to be waiting for that final attempt. Otso Zito currently on what I would describe as a cool lap to get this ready and into position, trying to get the battery full to try and charge up for a big attempt with 4 minutes 20 on the clock and your teammate in 11th. You look at Otso Zito, are you looking at this from an AMR perspective and saying it's got to be top 5 bare min?
Oh, great question. Otso Zito comes across the line, 116.8. He's down the order, but he's doing a cool push. He'll have another go at this one. AMR, I'm very keen to see what they're going to do, of course, now just within the esports sphere itself. Team TF10 have closed their doors. Them and ET8 will be fighting it out for the #1 Spanish team. As it stands, it's falling in favour just of this race alone towards ET8, but an opportunity for Otso Zito to throw a little bit of a spanner in the works for the established outfit.
Yeah, and there's starting to be a little bit more cloud cover then as we go to partly cloudy conditions by the looks of it. So it's not going to be bright, glorious sunshine with no clouds about. This is going to cause a little bit of a can you look and get this time late on in the session with what is 3.5 minutes left to go. It's either you're out there getting a lap or you're just sitting back and waiting for the opportunity to come. Both of the RSC cars are currently out there at opposite ends of the circuit. We focus here with Otso Zito, who wants this big lap, who wants to get close with this attempt, pushing through the final corner and validates through the final corner. Oh, this is getting tough to watch.
Yeah, because they don't want those little tiny mistakes, the difference between you being towards the front and potentially struggling. Epic Vale comes across the line. It's another one with 102.9s. Can you believe it? So now we've got, what's that? 3 drivers with the 102.8. We've got 5 drivers with the 102.9. Otso Zito hasn't set a representative lap time. Sergio is the only one not in that sort of barrier with that 102.7. Up on the gravel trap there was Enzo Sabaton. He might lose a little bit of time as a result of that one, but he keeps it within the track limits as he now approaches turn number 9. Is he going to dive for the pit lane? He is not, but he did go very, very wide, and in fact he is going to pit now as a result of that one. So that is the end of that one. Not much time left.
No, and that was the latest possible time I could bail. Get a new set of tyres on, go for one last attempt here. We focus as now the lap will start for Justin here, and this will be a case of you've probably got 2, maybe 3 laps to go. So if you're going to use this as a push lap, look at the oversteer. Then through the opening corner, had to attack the Niki Lauda curb so aggressively, that anti-cut curb on the inside. You're just working for counter steer. Up into turn 3, what used to be called as Ramus Corner, and now up for the drive over the top of the crest. This is where you start understanding whether my lap time is good or bad, whether I can back off or push.
He had 0.07 of a second in his back pocket, but that big lock-up through turn 4 might have cost him. If he has any brains on him, he might decide to just abandon this one. He has got the time to do so, and it looks like to me, is the red light flashing on the back? It might be. No, but he's gone purple in the second sector. He's found another 93,000, so it might be a bucket of oversteer, but he's clearly the fastest way around as Epic Vale has retired in the pit lane. He can't go any faster than 102.923. That's pretty poor for RSC standards at the moment. Here he comes then across the line. Does Justin Willie get anywhere near towards the front? He will not. He will stay in P5.
No, and this is the issue. He's now going to have to go fast on this lap to get a 3rd attempt in, so he can't even cool the tyres off to go one more. So I think he's going to be stuck in 5th position at best, and we say this big, at best, to get it done. You'll know that he can't get Otso Zito up faster. He's stuck in pit lane, but it's purple through the middle sector right now for Fede Mori, who's hoping that he can knock off Sergio Oli, who's on top. ET8 with a 1-2 at the moment. They're eyeing up points maxima of 57 out there, which is what you get for a first, a second, a pole, and a fastest lap. This is for 1 championship point, mind you, and it doesn't work because that one's invalidated late. Roberto Matteo on top, 102.757. Fana Spinoda goes 3rd. We look now to Max van der Geest with 12 seconds to go, and that crossing the line is 5th. What a day this is turning into for Ventari. Here comes Nico Sos to start a final lap then out in qualifying. The checkered flag comes out, and now it's not just a case of who's quick, it's how quick. That's going to be where the last questions now need to solve themselves as we focus on Nico Sos here needing this first sector to go the way that he needs to. Now we'll be looking over towards the second. Justin stuck in sixth will not be able to go any quicker than a 102.883, stuck behind Max van der Geest. Out there at this point, you've got drivers now making their way to the line for their final attempt, hoping that there is just a little something more. This looks decent at the moment from Nico Sos, but we'll see what the time looks like in the margins there. Sergio Olli back to pits then, up by 300ths then by Nico. He needs a magical final sector to get him up into the top 5 and hope there is more on the horizon, because Armateo's diving into the pits then. There is more diving in front as well. Now here comes the chance. Final corner. Oh, it's invalidated. Too aggressive on the way in. It's 7th for Nico as he pushes over towards that line. Enzo remains in 4th position. You look around and say, well, who's got more? Justin's trying. Max van der Geest can't find anything further, but now here's the charge to the line. Burn the battery, and that will be that as far as qualifying goes. An ET8 Masterclass 1 and 2 at the front.
They have finally done it. They've managed to put a bit of a gap between themselves and SCI. They have done what they've been struggling to do pretty much all the way through this game cycle, and have managed to benefit from the demise of an SCI performance. So they are 1 and 2 as a result. Justin wouldn't have lost P6 in the end anyway, because Nico set a lap time only 1,000th of a second slower with the invalidated laps. He would have stayed P7. And Atsuhito, what are AMR doing? They sent their driver out far too late. He didn't even manage to get to turn 9 before the checkered flag was waving. So that's the end of his, and he starts P10.
It's brutal, and we will now find out who will get their race in their hands as we head over to racing action and your full grid sorted in just a few moments. We'll be right back. Round 3 of the Velocity Ultimate Masters had a shaken up Q1 thanks to rain, where AMS Ollie Hornby there for Alien Motorsports on the wrong side of it, down at the back, struggling with wheel issues, as Tatum Restek 19th and 18th, JTO 14 and 040 and Kareem will have work to do. Big shock, SCI Giroen out in Q1. It looks like Shazoo Cedars Igniters need a bit of help when it comes to this race. We'll go to rows 8 and 7 now as we flick on forward, where you find Kevin Zuneberg. They're out in Q1 for the likes then of the Future Racing team. It was then B Danny then for Alien, All Elite with Track Racer in 14th, and Bo Shazoo cars missing the front 6 rows of the grid. I didn't have that on my bingo card here in this third round. The championship leaders with it all to do in this race. Over then to your middle rows as we set ourselves up. 12th and 11th, 10th and 9th, where you got RW06, who's there, the second of the All Elite cars, and then the AMR cars will have to go from 11th and 10th. A lot of work for them to do to stay with the likes then of ET8, who are currently second in the championship. Angry Shark Fedamori then lining this one up in 9th. You then start turning around and saying, well, who are going to be the players of today? Epic Vale in 8th, had to abandon qualifying early in Q3. Nico up then into 7th with FRT Justin, and then Venturi. I think they're back in challenging mode with Max van der Geest. They're in 5th position, hasty as ever, as he now looks to try and work himself up. But those front 4, well, it's all about ET8. They are 1 and 2, but Enzo Sabaton there in 4th and Fana Spinoda in 3rd. This is a circuit where overtaking is very easy to conduct. It's not a case of when you overtake, but where, and how to break up ET8 at the front is going to be the key here, James.
Critical, isn't it, at the end of the day? Good evening, everyone. We should be in for an absolute cracker of a race ahead of us here, but ET8 front row lockout can dictate that pace. But at a track like this one, where it's easy to overtake, well, I think it was the late greats Murray Walker that said anything can happen, and it usually does.
And it definitely does. Bright sunshine then as we get ourselves set. 50% race distance here in the Velocity Ultimate Masters. Not asking them to go 100%, not asking them to go for an hour and a half, but 45 minutes there or thereabouts. Just enough to keep the challenge up. Just enough to keep everybody on their toes. And normally you get a lot of laps around this place due to the short nature of the lap time and critically the lap distance, because this is a high-speed circuit. You get the same issue out there at Monza where because of it you actually get a short distance. But we're getting set then here with the Velocity Ultimate Masters. Round 3 gets itself underway, and ET8 both with a very nice start for racing action. Then it's a huge horror show then off of the get-go. Nowhere for Van der Geest to go as he falls back down into 8th. Ra Mateo has got the run that is needed, but now they're going to start dancing down over towards turn 3 through Munzer. Enzo Sabaton with a big move. Oh, he's locked it up, and he'll get second. Then through Sergio Oli, but watch the drive off the exit. 3 wide they go to what is Route Corner, turn 4.
Oh, Enzo Sabaton then going for the late breaker. He may decide to go straight between the pair of them. It's going to be tight between the pair as the Red Bull gets up on the inside. But Enzo Sabaton has had an absolute cracking start here. He'll have the traction, but then he'll lose the position around the outside. In the end, in the inside, Sergio will keep the position. But look at Fana Spinoda as well in this one. Also trying to throw into the mix here. ET8 were hoping to hold on and start dictating the pace, but Mateo's had a horror start. He's down to 5th.
Well, it's not a horror start by the way he's driving. It's close there, but he's got to be aggressive now and start fighting back, because he's been freight trained horribly then on the second half of that opening lap, as the fastest lap times now are going to start coming in. A massive jump for Jeroen, up 6th for SCI, must need. Side by side still, FRT Justin can't get the clearance, and now with DRS, this becomes a game of who is bravest now into each and every single section on this circuit. Lots of moves up and down the order. And there's going to be 2 issues of spins. Armateo's one of them, Epic Vale the other.
Epic Vale went perhaps for a move that wasn't quite there. Don't start overtaking. Well, Ghosted, you could be in trouble, folks. They'll continue to go side by side. We've got people potentially big lock up there from the inside of the RB of Max von der Geest as there Van Tauri trying to get a bounce back after a poor race in Spain. They're going to continue bouncing off of the wheels of other people. Here's AMR Dom around the outside, then a turn 5. That is absolute cracking through 6 into 7. They're still side by side, are the pair of them. But a great move around the outside from Dom and Max von der Geest. That lock-up cost him dearly. He's down to 7th.
And still having to defend. Look how much battery was used. Now you're going to be a little bit slow through the corner. That opened up the pit for Epic Vale to go through against Van der Geest to get that one. Sergio Olli then with the fastest lap, a 106.8, which will not be the fastest lap by the end of it. A lot of drivers on the medium tyres. Interested to see who's on what. Jeroen now up into the top 10, a gain of 8 spaces in this run, and he's one of the few on mediums. 4 drivers starting on a hard tyre. Otto Zito, Fedamori, Kevin Zuneberg, and B. Danny.
Oh, and critically as well, Matteo lost DRS as well to the back of Justin, so Dom has now made the overtake very happily indeed. So now Matteo, where has his pace completely gone? I know it takes a while for him to warm up into these races, but that is pretty poor on a fresh set of mediums. It may be another one as well, because Epic Vale is going to have the inside of the next corner into turn 6, and he thinks wisely, does Matteo, the old wise head on him, and he elects not to race side by side through there, and now he's down to 7th.
And those points continue to drop. Remember, it's 2-point increment. He was sat on 30 points to begin with. And if you look back, he will be now down on just 14 championship points for this. So that's a 16-point drop that he's had over the course of the first 4 laps of this race. AMR Dom with a great fastest lap that pulls him back into DRS range and brings the train back together. And so you'll see this quite a bit, that drivers who pull themselves close will then start to have that ability once they get a slingshot to jump to that next train. If you want to be really choice about this at the moment, it's a 20-car fight for the race win right now.
Yeah, everyone's in the DRS train now. We're starting to see people shifting. Now, this is not usually... It is a circuit that can have the DRS trains, but overtaking can still usually occur because of the nature of the circuit. The 2 Aston Martins there at the back, that's the Tatum Race Tech. In fact, let's go back up to Kevin Zuberger's racing, with the Angry Sharks Racing team driver of Fed Mori, who's going to think better than to go side by side through there. Kevin Zuberger, remember, starting in P16 after being knocked out in the very wet Q1. He's got some inroads to make, and he's already up 4.
He is, and he is trying to start launching up the order. Remember, he's on a hard tyre, so he'll be going longer and he'll be quicker at the end of this race. So if he can stay within range on a hard compound tyre here, you figure that if he's going to try and go the opposite way in the second half of this race, he is perfectly poised to go and make something of this and make it happen. If you're out there on a medium, you're pretty much contrite to what the strategy is going to be. If you start on the hard, you've got options.
He's got to make sure that he gets past Otzazito and then starts challenging Nico as soon as he possibly can if he wants this strategy to work, as we've lost Fed Mori, actually. He's not retired from the session, he's disconnected, so his car will now slow down as the AI takes control, and hopefully we can get it back in, because of course every point other than 20 scores points, it's not worth leaving.
No, it's not, and so when you find yourself in that position, there's nothing you can do. You just got to hope that you can get back into the rhythm as quickly as you can, and you don't find yourself in too much trouble. And that's not what the Angry Sharks were hoping for out of Fedamori. We go up to Vanna Spinoda here in 3rd, and Sergio Olli is really trying to turn the screw here against Ento Sabaton. Look at that, it was 9/10 of a second heading into Jochen Rindt. This is trouble street right now for Enzo. He's now got to start burning battery just to stay in range of what Sergio Olli is able to do with clean air at the front of this race.
No, Sergio doing a really good race at the moment, managing the race pace out there at the front. Towards the back, though, biggest shock for me, Finlay, the SCI man, down in P17. He's had an absolute stinker of a race start himself as he's trying to make the inroads on the medium tyres. But whilst he's got a bunch of people, including an AMS driver, bearing in mind, on a hard tyre, who is actually racing just as fast at the moment. Oh, you're talking about Trouble Street. I think AMS is certainly, SCI are currently living on it.
They are the 17th and 9th, which isn't the end of the world, but it's certainly not great. They've only got an 8-point margin to ET8. They currently lose the championship lead. AMR, who has sat there 11th and 5th, you'd argue they'd lose it to them as well. RSC, who are second and sixth there as well. Big block of oversteer then from JTO 40. Give some credit actually to the two Tatum Restec drivers, 14th and 15th. They both make good progress off the start.
Yeah, decent start then. JTO 40 though, he's got an old wise head on it, so we're starting to see the first pit lane enters here as well. I'm expecting there's potentially going to be a two-stop on the cards if people are going to switch over to a soft, but I think a hard tyre might be going on here. The mediums are known for wearing quite thin very early around this on this particular game. Look at that big tank slapper, well held from your own, but that may offer Otsazito an opportunity, remember, on a hard tyre.
Yep, so Max van der Geest, the best of the leaders who have come in. Nico then also going in on a hard compound tyre. So that gives you a little bit of precedent of where everyone's going to be, who's going to get themselves into position. You've got to remember as well, if you feel like you're being held up in that train because you can't get close enough to make a pass, there is sometimes an element of getting out on your own, getting some fresh air, using a fresh set of tyres can give you a big advantage. It's what we would call an undercut.
Yes, exactly, but the undercut, not particularly powerful around here if you do decide to move over to a hard tyre, because it takes a while for the tyres to warm up around here, so keep an eye out and see how quickly these hard tyres are going to warm up versus those that have decided to stay out. We've got plenty of people who have elected to stay out. In fact, everyone on a medium tyre in the top three have decided to stay out, except the likes of Justin, Dom, Epic Vale is in, RW06 as well for AERT are also all in, and JTO 40 and Finley also in as well. This doesn't surprise me too much, but the front five, your own staying out, that does kind of shock me because I do think he's going to get undercut here. But he's going to be racing with Otsazito any second now. We're currently following Fada Spinoda in the battle for P2 at the moment with Enzo Sabaton, who can't get anywhere near Sergio at the moment. The race pace from him has been very good.
Well, I'd look around at your own and he'll see all my friends have disappeared and I'm the only one left. He's got 3.5 seconds to our Matteo to try and chase up, and that's going to be tough at the best of times. Looking off the exit then, it looks like Justin stays ahead of Max van der Geest. AMR Dom has got himself in line just ahead of Nico Sos, and then it's Epic Vale, who I think's been the loser out there in terms of those stops. So that's going to be a very difficult scenario to try and overturn. We take the nose cam here with Fana Spinoda in third. He's done well to stay close. Look at that for a bit of side-by-side as we focus on with Epic Vale and Nico really scrapping for it. Leaders in, Enzo Sabaton then I think is the only one who's decided not to. He'll stay out. Move though held by Nico, needing Epic Vale and RSC to stay behind.
You know what, if I were the situation for ET8 in this one as well, I'd have told Matteo, lose a couple of seconds here because we could do a double stack and you might not lose too much time behind, and then we can manage our own race pace here. But they've elected not to. They've kept Matteo out. Max van der Geest showing his immediate pace on the hard tyre. Where is Sergio going to come out in response to everyone else? He's lost the position to Fedemori, Danny, Kevin Subeg and Otsazito haven't pitted, but it was dangerously close to the back of Justin.
You've got to remember, Fedemori's only just got back in the session, so he'll be able to get back up to speed again, but he has lost a bucket of time. He's 8 seconds behind B. Danny. I would call that disastrous at this moment for this race, but look at what it means now. Van der Geest and Fana Spinoda, they've actually changed positions because Van der Geest had the fastest lap on that last go by. They've managed to keep Dom at bay, but Fana Spinoda's the one who's fallen back here. FRT Justin is starting to ring the bell and say, look, we're in this race. We've got a really good chance of making something happen in this race. Ghosted now into contact because as they go through, back into the car and up to speed goes Fedemori, letting the Ghost take back control. And he realises now, I'm a full pit stop behind the leaders and I'm fighting for position and I'm struggling on 9 lap older tyres. So they're going to go flying by and there's not a lot that Fedemori can do here. This is worst case scenario.
Yeah, what a horrible time to reconnect back into the lobby. Of all times to do it right in the middle of people overtaking you while you're a ghosted car. He managed to reconnect into the lobby unghosted, but then of course the game was like, what do I do? He gets a double overtake then from the Ventauri team who both get the move done here. Fedemori will be trying to stay out of the way and not cause anybody any pain whatsoever because he knows he's now a lap behind. His race is probably over and done with here. Fana Spinoda, Max van der Geest no doubt switching their drivers at the moment because Fana Spinoda clearly the faster driver at the moment, and Fedemori will be told, get out of the way of your teammate, and that's exactly what has happened.
Karim with the first 3 seconds worth of penalties then. That will come then from multiple violations, and those would be track limits around here. So keep an eye out on those, as those penalty points, they do add up between now and the end. Jeroen now losing the place to Otto Zito, who moves up into third. Now, I think this is very telling here that Enzo Sabaton, Mateo and co are electing to go as long as they can on that medium tyre here, because that indicates to me very firm one-stop territory.
Yeah, medium soft is technically possible around here, but they have to look after their medium tyres. And, of course, while everyone else can race as hard as they can on the hard tyre, those in front, of course, have got to go a long way into this race if they want to try and make the mediums work. Ooh, a bit of a late breaker there. Half a move there from Kevin Zumba, but it might have actually worked. It's opened up an opportunity as they go side by side, do 5. And in the end, Jeroen decides not to battle it. He doesn't think he's got the tyres. He's going to have to be. It looks like he's probably going to be pitting at the end of this lap, to be honest with you. Kevin Zumberg now up to P4, still yes to make a pit stop. Otzozito similarly. They're keeping up to the DRS of Mateo and Enzo Sabaton here. This is not the worst situation here. And there's the move then from Jeroen. He is in the pits.
Yeah, not a shock then, and you can see there's a little bit of blistering there on the tyres, trying to work them through. And when you're stuck behind cars for an entire stint, you actually get more lateral load in the car because you get the understeer from the rake that comes in front. It creates that load on the tyre, and that's why you get more wear when you're stuck behind someone else. So how far does Jeroen fall in terms of this one? Well, he's already outside of the top 10 by a fair margin. He'll fall behind RW06. In fact, he'll fall behind his teammate Finley. Disaster then for Jeroen, whose long heroics are certainly not paying off. Now Otzozito will move past Mateo, who's got no life left on those medium tyres. 11 laps, 12 laps. So 12 and 24, I think that's what drivers will be looking for and saying that's the easiest we can do with it.
Yeah, gap to leader somewhere in the region of around about... I'm trying to do the maths in my head on the fly here. About 14 seconds, I think it is, between Sergio and Enzo Sabaton. So looking relatively strong at the moment for the likes of Sergio to obviously retake the lead of this race. In fact, maybe about 12 seconds at the moment. So he's obviously going to retake the lead of this race, but with FRT just behind. And of course, FRT off of the back of what has been a pretty poor start to this season. They would very happily like to fight out for the battle, and Justin's clearly got the pace.
Justin definitely can, and at half a second behind Sergio Olli, I'd say job well done so far for this one. They've got the alternate strategy on with Kevin Zunenberg on the hard tyres, so they'll be looking to try and launch him up the order late in the race with a better race tyre to end this one on. So I'd say I'd be quite happy if I was Kevin Zunenberg right now in the Future Racing Team Haas as this currently stands. Mateo's 0.8 of a second in front. The only driver to worry about on that same strategy is Otzozito, who gets a bucket of oversteer on the exit there of Rauch Corner. Now heading over towards turn 6 and Graz at turn 7. I would argue right now that this is where the race is going to have to be hard fought. This is the laps that will count, not the ones when you're battling, the ones where you're on your own and you've got to make the lap time and hit your delta.
Yeah, very critical set of laps for those on the hards and actually those on the mediums if they're electing to stay out. Enzo Sabaton, gap now around about 2.3 seconds between Otzozito and Sabaton at the moment. So the hard tyre now clearly the better tyre out of those that haven't pitted yet. But with every corner, look, he's found just a couple of tenths there alone, to be fair, has Otzozito. He's going to get closer to Enzo Sabaton, but what are Mateo and Sabaton cooking at the moment? As we've got our first penalty, or second penalty rather, as a result of track extensions. Ollie Hornby now with a penalty for himself as Justin gets the move done on Sergio himself, as Justin and Sergio switching positions as they try to battle out for what is the net lead of this race.
Well, you'd figure there's not as much of a panic at the moment with ET8 that FRT Justin has gone through. If you look at Ventari, I think that's the biggest threat here today. And Ventari, who has come into today 7th in the championship, they're 25 points down on Shizou Seeders Igniters. They need a big race for a big team that on this cycle, as you have said on many an occasion so far this season, they should be up there as favourites. The way they've driven today, the way they're looking to get those points, I think Ventari are looking to do better than 7th in the championship last year. I think they're gunning for a victory, and they will need to claw some big points back. In comes B. Danny to make that stop.
Yeah, it's the first person of the hard tyre runners to decide to come off now, so he'll be on to a set of mediums, but it will be going a long way on a set of mediums. It might be a two-stop race here for the AMS driver as they move then between the two mediums. As Max van der Geest.
Yeah, he's dropped. He spun it out the final corner. He's now down to 12.
Oh, critical stuff, critical mistake there. Sventauri looking to try and do the best that they can in this one as well, trying to climb up the standings. They were hugging each other, working with each other, and now that deficit has completely opened up as a result of that issue. I'm keeping a very, very firm eye, though, on the front. What are those medium tyre runners going to do? It's surely going to be imminent if it's a two-stop.
Well, as Zito has already gone through and has already made that call to get that stop sorted, you're looking at them desperately trying to reach, well, now, really, if we're thinking, if hard, oh no, time's gone! Bang! Enzo Sabaton's rear has exploded, and just like that, he's going to have to limp it back into pits.
Of all places to happen, it's happened right at the pit entry, but he's spun out and lost a bucket of time in the process. That is critical for the Race Speed Championship, and RSC are going to lose ground as a result. If anyone is electing to do a one-stop right now off of the hard tyre to move on to a medium, that was 16 laps before it went bang. You're not going 20 laps, son.
No, and this is just torturous, trying to get it down in the lane, limping on three wheels, and this will be 0 points when it was looking potentially like at the first start of the way this race was going, it was going to be 35. Look at the rear left, absolutely shredded. Anything over 60%, you start risking.
I was saying medium soft might be possible, but you'll have to be like a turtle if you want to try and look after your tyres as a result on that one. It looking like it's going to be a two-stop race here as it stands anyway. Those hard tyres might go the distance. It's going to be a bit of a tricky one though. Zito on the only person on a medium tyre while everyone else now on a hard.
Yeah, so you look at those who haven't pitted. Kevin Zuneberg hasn't pitted, and neither, quote-unquote, is Fedamori, who has been stuck with ghosting issues out there leaving the session. So I'd say Kevin Zuneberg right now is the only one trying to make a legitimate one-stop work. But here's the issue, if you're trying to make a one-stop work right now, what's your margin to everyone around? He's only got 3.5.
Who's
only 3 seconds behind and pushing with everything that he's possibly got. James, this is critical right now because Kevin Zuneberg is being reeled in hand over fist.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I think we might have had a little bit of an outage there, but we should be back up and running there either way. Kevin Zuneberg leading the way on the old hard tyre, still needs to make his pit stop. Justin losing a little bit of ground to Sergio as he's now just starting to begin at a little bit of race pace. A little bit of blistering on the front right tyre as well on Justin's tyre. That will obviously close up as the more the tyre is worn, but he wants to stay within the DRS territory. Otherwise, Fana Spinoda will be very happy to swallow up any positions that are lost.
Well, and getting the anti-cut curb on the outside. Justin has to open the steering up, and the gap extends to half a second then as they start reeling in. Then you got Fana Spinoda, AMR Dom, and then you got Nico Sossis on the oldest tyres, actually out of anyone. And there's a little search for a couple that goes through. You're Owen around Max van der Geest. That a move then for 9th and 10th at the moment. And Otto Zito onto the medium tyre here. He's going to be looking around at this going, well, I'll be aggressive and see how far I can go on it, and maybe 2 mediums of aggro is going to get it done. This is the I must make it stint around the outside of Van der Geest. Will get the job sorted. Will now confirm it at turn 6. Lovely pass, and Otto Zito now is on the maraud.
Yeah, remember Max van der Geest, of course, ended up losing the rear and spinning out earlier on, so he's just recovering perhaps a little bit of confidence in the car. I want to go back towards the front, though, here, because Kevin Zuneberg is now only 7/10 in front of Justin. Now, if Justin can stay in front here, what is to say that FRT decide to abandon a potential opportunity and actually use Kevin Zuneberg as a little bit of a moving chicane? Let Justin through, no issue, and then do everything he can to block everyone else behind him, so then Justin could get a second on everyone else. This is a really good opportunity for the future racing team here.
Well, the way you've got to do it right now is you've got to make the switch down here at turn 4 route corner.
Got to do
then
it
you've
now.
got those 2 left-handers where you can't go and make that pass. I think it's massive here. There's the move from Justin, as predicted. Now Kevin Zuneberg, who's struggling on tyres. Where are you going to get by them here? Sergio Olli's going to have to pull a move out of a hat here if he wants to go and get this sorted. You can see he's stuck through the first corner, 6/10, 7/10. This could easily go over a second through this next corner, 8/10, 9/10. So we'll be starting to look at here off the exit. Now he's going to come to drive. Now if you're clever here and Sergio Olli, chuck it down the inside, Enzo Sabaton retires the car. He'll get 0 points. Now dive down into the pits. No, you're just stuck. And look at this, Justin. Run, run, run as fast as you can. You got the gap.
Yeah, he's got the gap now already, so this is where now it's all going to be about doing it as much as he can. Kevin Zuneberg has got to get a great exit out turn 1, try and minimise the damage if he can. Make that the Haas the widest car you will ever see as he heads towards turn number 3. He's got to get in the middle of the track. He's electing not to. He's just giving the position up. I would have got in the middle of the track there and forced the hand of Sergio, because now he's found himself not losing 1 but 2 positions as a result. I think that could have been better crafted, but the damage may already be done. Gap is 1 second between Sergio and Justin. Justin has got to keep driving. He's got to get quicker.
Well, that lock at the front there from Justin means that gap is teetering at a second. It was a good attempt, but I don't think it's going to end up working because Sergio has got pace for days. We'll watch out for the marker. He's very firmly within the margin that's needed, and Justin will realise that he's got a lap older tyres here at this stage of the race, and this is where you're trying to really put something together. I wonder whether Kevin Zuneberg's going to come in now and commit to that one-stop strategy from this point on to the end of the race. He will not, so he'll stay out for another go about on this one as Fedamori finally departs after 19 laps. It's actually going to be followed in by RW06 and Kareem, who are looking like they're going to be going medium hard as their strategy to the end of the race.
This is where I've got to try and bite my tongue, because the thing is, FRT had that one on a plate, and Kevin Zuneberg did a really decent job going through his turn 9. He moved his car minutely to get into the middle of the track. Why he didn't do it again going into turn 4, I have no clue, because that is now a wasted opportunity for FRT Justin, who's now going to find himself under so much pressure, and he's locking up that front right, and it was already blistering a few laps ago. It's going to be a lot worse now.
Remember, the right side tyres, they don't get much work until, critically, these 2 corners. You get most of the wear actually on the left-hand side tyres, because you're going around a clockwise circuit, and those tyres start to really hurt. So it's the inside right. You've got to be careful of. The lefts are there. Now comes Kevin Zuneberg, and he's also going to be followed in by Dom, who looks like he's going to be 14 laps on this stint home. So this will be either an early medium. I think this is mediums now, and this is a bold old call here to come in at the same time. Dom's going to need to make a good strategy of this. Kevin Zuneberg no shot on a mediums, but Dom has come back out on a set of hard. So now, if you get it into a window, this is about tyre versus tyre.
Yeah, mix of strategies now all around the field here. I'll be wondering to see what will happen towards the end of this race. As a result, 14 to go in this one, with Fedamori getting as close as he possibly can. RW06 getting as close to Fedamori as he possibly can. But Fedamori on that medium tyre should start to drive away as he tries to I'll get there in the end. Close down on Dom. Sergio gets the move done on Justin. He's happy to be in that position now. Again, FRT missed opportunity big time.
It's a huge chance for them, and Sergio's now got the race lead, so Justin back in second position. I think this is a case of everybody in, and it will be. So Justin knows that he's been a little bit aggressive. That extra lap on the tyres, it hasn't cost him massively. Otto Zito now is going to move into the lead of this race, but remember, they've all got to chase him down in this race if they want to win this, because he'll try and make a one-stop strategy work if he possibly can on that medium. If not, he's going to go to a soft tyre and steal the fastest lap of the race at the death.
With Enzo Sabaton's retirement from this race, everyone will score points tonight. Let's hope that some teams elect not to retire their drivers on this one, because you can earn points now regardless of where you finish. Now towards the front, Zito leading this race on those medium tyres. He will not go to the end on those tyres. He simply cannot do so. So he will probably be pitting, I reckon, that says about 5 laps.
Yes, so you're looking around 16. This is an aggressive medium. It would have to be, and you're looking around at anyone who can. You're absolutely right there, James. You're asking a lot out of those medium tyres. And so if you're thinking, okay, can I get it home? Answer to that is going to now be a no. So this is an aggressive medium, right now to get an even more aggressive medium tyre at the end. Basically, run along first stint so you can actually just attack the tyre, and that's not necessarily a bad thing to have as a strategy, to go out there and say, on the fastest race tyre, I want to attack. In comes Max van der Geest.
I'm just trying to do the maths on this one here. Could SCI be risking your own on a one-stop here? 12-lap old hard tyres. They have to go another 12 laps, making it 24. Medium tyres went bang after 16. It might be risky, might be doable, though.
Well, here's the scenario. You've got 5 seconds over Arm Mateo. You've got 8 seconds over B Danny. You've got 11 over Epic Vale. And then you head to Kevin Zuderberg right now, who, believe it or not, is out there leading everybody on the medium tyres. So Kevin here, who's got a couple laps on those mediums, he's trying to build a margin now and get everyone away. And there goes AMR Dom. It's just thundering down the inside of the medium runner. And Zuderberg then, I think, is going to try and do everything. There's tyre-to-tyre contact up into turn 5. Now they're going to try and work slightly downhill to 6. Wrong side of the road at 7. And there's the clearance Kevin Zuderberg needed. Massive. In comes Otso Zito now. 12 laps to go.
Yeah, no surprise me. He's going to be coming off of those now to go to another set of mediums to the end of this race. Oh, wow. As there goes the AMR Dom, and then on the fresh hard tyre, losing that ground to Kevin Zunberg on that medium tyre, looking very strong at the moment, is the Haas runner, actually beating Justin by a country mile as it stands at the moment. Kevin Zunberg actually outside chance of getting a bit of a podium here with these medium tyres, because he could theoretically go to the end, and the tyres will be a bit aged, but I don't think he's at risk of a puncture.
Ollie in trouble, then coming out of Grat's corner and trying to get it back up to speed again, has just about managed it, but those tyres are going to be toast right now, and that's going to make a big difference then in terms of his race. Down in 19th, 1 point, bit of side-by-side RW06. We talk about this, points. This is an important battle here with the likes of Fedamori here on the mediums, trying to get down the inside. They've got Karim just behind as well, and Otso Zito in front, so you're starting to look around. Fedamori here, this is where you're just looking at the points and going, well, I'm trying to get something for the Angry Sharks, not nothing. In comes Euro, and this is a 2-stop.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me, to be fair. He could have gone to the end and risked it, but I don't think SCI really want to consider any more risks at the moment. Finley down in P15 as it stands as well. It's been a horrific race for the Shizou Cedar Igniters. So Matteo now taking the lead of this race from Danny, of all drivers. What a race it has suddenly been from the AMS driver. Of course, he will need to make another pit stop, though, I think, with this one, as we've got a mistake potentially from Dom, you say?
Yeah, that's 3 seconds that's going to be added on then, as you got the penalty marker there on the right-hand side of the timing tower. So that's going to hurt then, as he's been overly aggressive out there. Sergio Olli now trying to get through, realises, and that could have been contact there on the front wing. You've got to be careful about clearance values then, as he now tries to go the long way around. You can do it the long way around. Sergio's got the inside for the next 2, and he's got himself a perfect drive now to get it sorted. Trying to work around on the inside. Dom doing everything he can to just be a pest at this moment, and still he sticks it round the outside of Gratz, but he can't get the hold. And now here comes Justin.
Yeah, fair play to Dom, actually putting all that pressure on, but in the end I think that one was going to be all sorted by Sergio. But look at this one here, Dom still trying to put Justin under pressure, gliding at turn 10. They go side by side through there, very well taken. He's lost all the ground as a result, but look at that, boxed in completely. That's fell well in favour of Justin. Late breaker from the Ventauri man, the McLaren of Nico getting in the way there. Go side by side onto the grass, maybe. Very close between these drivers. This is all very critical. They're going to the end of the race, so these are all for position.
Yeah, that's just leaving racing room out there as it gets busy. Sergio Olli on the back of Kevin Zuderberg, Justin directly behind, and they have caught Epic Vale here in second position. So this is must make. You've got to get a car in between, and you can't get the angle, can you, Kevin? That's going to leave you vulnerable here to turn 5 and 6 now. This is where it gets critical. This is where the hold-up becomes massive, because you are trying to hold yourself out there. Now, Epic Vale here on 8-lap hard tyres can make it home from this point. He'll only have to do 19 laps. That's very plausible. So this is all there for second. The one driver you'd worry about is the one 7.5 seconds down the road, Mateo.
Yeah, but Kevin Zunberg now is on 5-lap-old medium tyres. I said he has an outside chance of a podium because not of this part of the race, but towards the end of this race, those mediums are going to fall off a cliff. Remember, there were 16 laps on Enzo Sabaton's car when they went bang. He's going to take these tyres 14 laps, so they are going to be on a knife's edge. Kevin cannot afford to be racing too hard at this early stage, otherwise he's going to find himself in real trouble come lap 36.
Epic Vale having to take 2 bites there for RSC. He knows that his teammates got nothing. They can get something out of this if they can take 25 or 30 points away from this. But they've also got to start thinking about Armateo. If he can extend out that hard tyre, there might be an outside shot that they've managed to work the Oracle. Another little look that's not going to work. Sergio Olli trying to go to the outside. I think Kevin Zunberg here doesn't know which way to look. And suddenly he's gone from attacking here on this stint to defending. And now Sergio Olli is going to be the one who looks for a run. Watch out there for Fana Spinoda, and critically on the back of this, Otso Zito there, as now Fedamori picks up 3. Big lunge down the inside then, comes along from Fana Spinoda, who gets 3 seconds for his troubles.
Yeah, that's going to be critical as well because he's losing ground because he went off of the track. It's going to be 1. It might even be 2 positions as well. Down to P8 he will go. Kevin Zunberg getting a bucket. Oh, there's a mistake there. And there goes Nico. I think it is for a big spin. He'd already lost the rear at one point and got a 3-second penalty. That's more for his troubles. There goes Dom against Zito, against Fana Spinoda. Is Dom going to look for it as well? Not going into turn number 3 on that occasion. What is happening out there at the moment? It's a real mixed bag. Kevin Zunberg needs to look after his tyres, but at the moment he's getting a bucket load of what he should have done against the rest of the team when he was on an old set of hard tyres against Epic Vale. This is great.
I think Otso Zito is going to get a post-race penalty for that one. He tried to lunge 2 cars at the same time and couldn't get it slowed up for the second. Had the contact there with the likes then of Nico, and that has really hurt the Angry Sharks. They are going to be wounded as they find themselves back to shoreline, and they will realise that this was going to be a day where they were going to be in the picture, and suddenly they look like they're completely out of it at this moment. And as they set themselves up, they're going to have to make a move here. They're going to have to get by Epic at this stage, or Kevin Zunberg. I think they're going to have to rely here on Armateo running out of tyre, because look at that gap. It's nearly 8 seconds.
Yeah, the critical thing here, I don't think Kevin Zunberg is looking for the race win here. There goes Sergio on Zunberg going through into turn number 3. It doesn't surprise me. Zunberg is not using his rear view mirrors. That's what they're there for. Use your wing mirrors and you can see where people are. And in this situation, he's trying to look in front, but that tunnel vision that he's got from the lack of experience is just helping out the more experienced runner of Sergio, who is now all over the back of Epic Vale.
Epic Vale shut the door firmly there on Sergio. You're not going to have everything your own way, buddy, as you work yourself down in through Route, now into Karat's corner at turn 7, and now working over towards Jochen Rindt. Epic Vale, remember, 4-lap older hard tyres. This is going to be very tough to hold that defence. Has done very well at keeping the likes of Sergio Olli, Justin, Kevin Zunberg, and the big threat of Otso Zito at bay. This is where you're now starting to think, okay, well, this race now comes down to these final 6 laps of this race. 31, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So long as Armateo's tyres hold, he's home and dry. And that, you think you can just look at. Here comes Otso Zito marauding up into that 5th place. Kevin Zunberg's tyres now just on the wrong side, and they're starting to fade.
This is the lack of experience of Kevin Zunberg. He's a very good driver. He's a very quick driver, but he's just not managed his race pace accordingly, and his tyres are falling off a cliff, ladies and gentlemen. Lap 31 of 36 is a 5-lap dash to the end. As it stands, Mateo has got that one hand on the victory, and it's been a really good recovery from ET8 as well. At one point, they were looking like they were going to dictate the race pace. Sergio gets past Epic Vale. It'll still be a 1-2, and they're going to bounce back after a very poor performance from the Shizou Cedar Igniters.
Well, I'd say Shizou have done okay from the position that they started in 8th and 11th. Right now, you'd be staring down the barrel of about 21 points as Karim picks up his second 3-second time penalty. But you look at where he needs, Dom's got penalty here, and he's reaching the back of them. So this is important here for the Cedars Igniters. Has to abandon the ship through the opening corner. That'll bring Fana Spinoda back in, and suddenly the group coalesces to 8 here at the front of this field. So I'm looking around. I don't think it's end of the world. 3 for Otso Zito.
Yeah, right, okay, that's opened up a little bit now in the midfield. So Kevin Zoonberg, his race now might be just looking for a bit of a P5 finish. He's still trying to hold off from Dom, though, who goes for the late breaker, going through into turn 4, but apparently we're now going down to P17. I wonder, where are we going, Mr. Director? Stick with one person. Otzazito, there we go. Go for the dive, going to the next corner. No, there's just enough of a bit of a tyre there on Ortiz Justin, who's now up to P4. This is a decent effort here from Justin. He's still got an outside chance of a podium, FRT, just not with Kevin this time.
No, it's going to have to be now a case of Justin doing what he needs. Sharon is up to 6th. He is flying at the moment. He's got a lap fresher tyres than Otzozito in front, so he's using them perfectly on this 2-stop to get himself back in. Have SCI played a card late because they got Finley now in 10th, and from nowhere they might be getting something out of this race. Yes, ETA are 1st and 3rd at the moment. That's going to be huge in terms of their result, but Jeroen here, I think, is just about to pull a masterstroke late in this race. One at a time, work yourself through the group, you might have a great chance. And remember, Epic Vale is going to have those 4 laps, well, compared to your own, 7-lap older tyres. At some point, you're going to have to start tapping out.
Yeah, I think at some point Mateo's gap is going to start to shrink as a result of just purely on the tyre delta, but it might not shrink fast enough for the likes of Epic Vale. Sergio wants to get this move done. Remember, with the 4 laps extra on his tyres versus Epic Vale, Sergio, as you said, right, good opportunity. But when will that happen with only 3 laps when they come across the line to go? I think Sergio is just going to wait it. He's just going to play the long game. He is experienced like his teammate Mateo. Use that experience, carry around the circuit, and then look for that move on the 36th lap, because you know then you can make it a 1-2 for your team.
Well, you've got to remember that Sergio doesn't have to go out and fight for that victory. He knows he only needs to pass his car in front. He'll wait for the last available opportunity while he can keep Justin and Otzozito and Jeroen and the group behind. It has coalesced now to a group of 12 because they're running at Epic Vale pace. And he knows that he's got DRS. He's got the energy harvesting that he can use from that hybrid energy that just covers off any move that's needed from the group behind. This is what we call being stuck in a train. And now everyone's going to start fanning to try and go through. Justin's left the door ajar, and ultimately Otzozito can't find a way through. And Otzozito's the sort of character who needs to get through right now, because when you got 3 seconds of penalty and the group gets closer and closer, the hit gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah, for me, that was a little bit of a mind game sort of move. Wasn't intending to go for the move, but just remind Justin, I am still here, even with that 3-second penalty, I can still cause you some headaches. Well, following Mateo now, who's just in complete clean air and in his own little world at the moment. It's been a great race from him, actually, is the world champion driver. Happy to just be in this position. In fact, if anything, he's still gaining time at the moment on Epic Vale. He's really looked after those tyres very well indeed. Sergio still on the back of Epic Vale. This move has got to be done relatively soon. Is he looking for it? The overtake is there, and he'll get the move done on the 35th lap. Curious, he's doing it a lap early.
Well, he realised he had a little bit of a gap there to Justin. I wonder whether he thought now's the time, because they're going to have to get by on this next section. They'll only have a lap to try and chase me down. If I leave myself too vulnerable, they might start lunging. Maybe last lap was sort of the marker that said for Sergio, I've got to get this move timed and poised in terms of the effort.
I'm just keeping a firm eye on that gap between Otzozito and Kevin Zoonberg at the moment as well. Decent opportunity for the likes of Kevin Zoonberg with that medium tyre, because, of course, if he can stay within the 3-second penalty of Otzozito, he'll still finish in a very good P6 on these old medium tyres. At FRT might still be in for a very good race result as it stands, as Sergio has got the move done on Epic Vale. He is now up to P2. He is making it that ET8 1-2, but is he going to hold it on this final lap of this Austrian Grand Prix?
Well, this would be huge for Epic Vale if he can. Track Race has gone on to a stop. He's going to try and steal the fastest lap of the race away here as he will head towards his final lap. So that's going to be huge in terms of everyone's going to have one less point on the horizon, but it has been a nearly flawless drive from ETA at a time where they really needed to find something magical. They are the 2-time reigning champions for a reason, 8/10 over Epic Vale, who's got himself a very, very tough job in the final stages of this race to hold those positions. Nobody has been able to find a way to get through. Danny Lay is going to get by Fedamori. For 14th place. But you got to go to this guy because he's done a one-stop when everyone else has been on a two. A wily fox who has decided that everybody else is going to be put on notice. Sometimes if you're not making the moves through the field early, it's about that mindset that's needed. Vamos for Matteo. He gets the job done, but it will be perfect then for ET8. A 1-2, the drive to the line. What a hold by Epic Vale. A third that has come from the heavens and over the line, bang, into the wall. A very, very frustrated Not-So-Zito.
Fantastic result for Kevin Zoomberg as well. 4th and 6th place respectively for FRT, split though by the SCI men of 5th and 7th place. They've just kept their race clean and they've managed to do some level of damage limitation, but I do believe they're going to lose the lead of this particular championship to ET8 as a result of that one. What a race it has been indeed from the likes of Matteo and Sergio. And then we're following Track Racer here. He's trying to get the fastest lap of this race. Of course, he was at the back anyway, so it'd be the extra point if he can do it as he comes across the line right now. And he will get the fastest lap of this race in the end for the All Elite Racing team.
Well, it's not 57 points in the end for ET8, but it will be 56, and that is as close to perfection as they could possibly get with the way that this all played out. So a major, major result for a team now that will be looking at being 8 points back coming into today and could very easily be double digits ahead and then some, quite handsomely, moving into round 4 of the championship at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. That is what you call a tone setter. Keep yourself in with the first 2 in the championship, and ultimately you're looking around. This is what ET8 did last year. They just found a spark in the middle of the season that meant nobody could really catch.
How did Matteo, after that race pace, after that race start, and losing all those positions, come out as the race victor in the end? Well, he made the one-stop work an absolute treat, that's for certain. Sergio managed to bounce back to make the two-stop work an absolute treat for ET8 to make it a 1-2, but then down towards that midfield and towards the back, it is a great result in the end for FRT. It's 4th and 6th for them, and of course the Alpines of SCI managing to at least do some kind of damage limitation going into the next round of this race. The only DNF, of course, Enzo Sabaton, who retired in the pits after that puncture from the first stint.
Yeah, I see your own down the order there on the timing there, so something's obviously gone a little bit awry there for the SCI driver then as we get the official results in. So we'll keep a focus of that as things all go, but when you got ETA as good as this, and they've done so on a low downforce track, give them all the questions now of what is traditionally also quite a low downforce track coming up as well, because the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps is in 7 days' time. And if you want to send a message that you can't have an off day, well, ET8, flawless.
They did have a few little cracks in the end, though. Of course, they ended up not having the greatest of the race starts, but they managed the pace effectively, and I think that needs to be given a testament to the man who finished in 2nd place. Sergio really did manage that race pace, which allowed Matteo to get back into it, made the one-stop work an absolute treat, and in the end, it's only a massive benefit to the Spanish outfit. They're no doubt the leaders of this particular championship as a result. AMR have had a semi-ish decent performance, but we'll have to see if that Zito does end up having that 3-second penalty removed, or if he ends up keeping it. RSC, well, it's a matter of sort of towards the front and towards the back for them, isn't it? It's all of benefit to ET8 here tonight.
It very much is, and it's about who's been able to scramble about and get something out of tonight is the way that it seems to have played. But, of course, in 7 days, the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps comes into mind, and so here in this Velocity Esports Racing, Velocity Ultimate Masters, we're brought to you with Hyundai, Intercomp, Monster Energy, Brand Garage, Level Academy, and The Specialist. They know that 5 races in 5 weeks is always tough. You've always got to keep putting in the time and the effort. No days off, no opportunities to sit back and wait, or the championship will just slip away from you. And not just you and your teammates as well. That has to be said. From, of course, James Otter alongside with myself, Jake Sperry. The day is perfection for ET8. The 2-time champs have proven again here tonight why they are that team that has to be feared every time, because if you just even so slightly breathe and have a difficult race with one of your drivers, they might just find a little slice of perfection. The cake not baked just yet, but one thing is for certain, at the home of the cycling classic Liège-Bastogne-Liège, Spa in the Belgian Ardennes will prove to be one of the tougher challenges of the season, and who will step up to the mark, knowing that they have to be absolutely flawless, because at the moment, you don't need an ET8, you need to be 10 out of 10.